life and confidence coach Dianna Leeder, and this is my podcast, the Crave More Life Roadshow. It's here we talk about emotional hits and lovingly kicking our own asses to get through them. Just so you know, it always comes down to being your beautiful, sassy self, living and loving from you, no matter what. So join me to hear about the healing journeys of other women, and you just might become a DIY ass kicker too. Hey DIY ass kickers, welcome back to the Roadshow. My guest today is Reverend Mary Perry. Mary works with angels and authored Loving Every Mistake, How to Forgive and Heal Your Heart in Find Your Voice, Save Your Life 3, Powerful Healers, Spiritual Stories. Mary Perry's business is Wings Unfurled, where she offers ways to connect with your angelic guidance. Have a listen and check out how to connect with Mary in our show notes. So welcome to the Roadshow, Mary.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Wow, I'm excited. Very excited.
I'm glad you're here too. Thank you.
And my angels are going, yes, yes, yes. We're good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cool. Let me know if you see any of mine around too, okay?
Oh, yours there. Yeah, they're there.
Hey guys. Hey guys. Awesome. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your book chapter? Let's start there.
Okay. So when Dianna approached me about writing the book, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, I immediately went back to a place in my life where I was pretty dark for a long time. And, I didn't have the best of childhoods, and I recognize that. In the past 20 years, I've done many, many different things to change, shift, heal those energies, and to come to be this person who works with the angels. And it was because of the angels that I have come to this place of peace. But my story is called Loving Every Mistake. And I don't know how I got wise sometimes, because there were just things that came to me. I started out with my story about when I was 16 and had a baby. It was not an accident that I had gotten pregnant. And my parents were Catholic, and the day after I told them about the pregnancy, they brought it off to the priest to find out, what do we do? And came home with the plan, which was to send me to a Catholic unwed mother's home, where I went for 5 months, and cut me off from seeing my boyfriend. I was not to see him ever again. And I was to give the baby up for adoption. At that point, abortion was, around, and this was 1972, and abortion was around, but I would never kill a child. That's just my personal preference. I couldn't do it. And my parents wouldn't. It was so weird because way back then, being pregnant as a teenager was not like it is today. Teenagers today can go to school pregnant. I was sent off to the Catholic unwed mother's home, but I had to wait till somebody from my school delivered their baby and came home before they could even send me. So talk about shame, talk about, people in my family were not supposed to know this. It just was not. It's what I grew up with. And, I was there for 5 months. It was an interesting 5 months. I could write a whole book on just the adventures of being in this unwed mother's home in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a big city. But, I got through and had delivered the baby, and my parents came down the day after. I did not know that my father saw my child, and he never even said he went to see her. My mom did. And one of the other girls from the home had come into the hospital, and she told me my father was in the nursery with my daughter. And, after I came home, this was never talked about. There was never, how are you doing? Are you struggling? Is there anything we can help? Do we need to get you some help? Nothing. It was like it never happened. And for the longest time, even as a young adult, once I got married, I would go to a gynecologist who would say, have you had a child? No. And it was like, finally I woke up one day and I said, yes, I've had a child. I gave her away for adoption, but yes, I gave birth to a child. Um, and my dad was absolutely very verbally abusive. And so the day that we went to the courthouse to that where I was signing away my parental rights, we were waiting outside, and he was sitting there. He was not happy, and I looked at him and I said, I don't have to sign these papers. Well, his head whipped around and he said, oh, yes, you do. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm going to, but it's because I know that that's the best thing for my daughter. This is not a home for her to come home to and grow up in. I don't want to put anybody else through that. Mm-hmm. So that changed our relationship a bit then, but it really took me, I just wanted out of the house. I wanted out of the house desperately. I knew that having her was not a mistake. I knew that she was supposed to come in this world. The 9 months that I was pregnant were some of the happiest times in my life, as crazy as that sounds. But, singing to her and feeling her move in my tummy was just like a love that I had never experienced before. And so, time went on. I moved to Maryland. I got married. And I decided not to have children. And my parents were not happy about that. And I went, I think I was trying to punish them in many ways. Of course, who did I end up punishing but me? But, I listened to my heart and, said no children. And, my husband was alcoholic. So really it wasn't the best place to bring a child up anyway. So I married my family, basically the alcoholic family. I married that, And so as I started to have experiences with the angels, and this was after my dad died from cancer in 1995, I started following, so many books and getting readings and really unwinding. I had been in therapy, psychotherapy for a while. And while that heals part of it, it didn't heal my spirit. It healed the mental pieces, didn't heal the emotional, and it didn't heal my spirit. But as I started finding the angels and their help for me or with me, what I came out to understand was that we have experiences that we sign up for. We sign up long before we come into this body. And there are reasons, and there is no right or wrong or good or bad about it. It's just an experience. And so that takes away the shame of mistakes in my eyes, because then there are no mistakes. Everything happens as it's supposed to. What I realized as I started into the angel world after my dad died was that I had taken God, creator, out of my life. I was like doing it on my own. Wasn't really working. And as I put back in the energy of the angels and God and asking for the things that I wanted to happen, they did. Healing happened. Different events happened that just led me down a path that to where I am today. And I'm just truly grateful for that. Um, this book, writing this chapter in this book was a little difficult for me because I have healed so much surrounding the adoption. I've actually met my daughter. I know where she is. I know of my two grandchildren. I have not seen them for 19 years. But the last time I saw my grandson was 3 months old. And his younger sister I've never met. And her name has the word angel in it, which just like my heart just like soared when I heard that. I mean, there are no coincidences. There are no mistakes in this world. And my daughter and I have come together a number of times, and then we drift apart, and it's okay. I never wanted to interfere with her life in any way, shape, or form, but I'm always here for her. I love her and her children immensely. and, send messages of hope and love all the time. So it's just been interesting, how all of that transpired. And I think for a while, my daughter wanted to be mad at somebody for giving her up for adoption,
Sure.
which is probably in the first couple of years why we kind of went apart, because I was ready for a relationship. Just because you give birth to somebody doesn't always mean that you are like this. Although in this past year, we've rekindled our relationship. And she goes, "You get me. You just know who I am." And I said, "I do." And we
That's
have
beautiful.
very much the same reactions. And so that piece just warms my heart because, this, what I considered one of the worst things that happened to me in my life has turned completely around. And there's much joy that comes with that. How can that be bad? It's not. And how can that have been a mistake? It's not. And so, finding the forgiveness in my heart for what roles I played in that process was a big piece of where I had to go. And that's absolutely how the angels have helped me open my heart, because I was closed down for a long time. Not only was my voice shut, but my heart was shut down. I didn't want to be hurt again. That hurt was like nothing I've ever experienced.
Of course.
And so here I am. I sit before you. I always had some gifts as far as the angels and hearing them. I just didn't know it. I didn't know it. And the voices I heard in my head that told me things like, how do I know that? I don't know. They were gifts to me, and that they're absolutely allowing my gifts to open. So, like, there were many times when I would hear things and I'd go, what's that mean? And sure enough, it would happen. So, or sure enough, I'd be thinking about somebody and then there they are in front of me or they're calling me. I always knew who was on the phone when they called the house. I always knew that, or I answered. And when I was 16 and I went through this experience, I also knew I was not going to be my parent. And I just was not going to live that same way in that same life. There were bigger places for me to send my energy to. And I was not going to repeat the patterns of the ancestors that came before me. And I consciously now, even work on healing those ancestral patterns. And I think that's important for all of us. In my book, or in the chapter in the book, I mentioned that I was just an ordinary girl. I had a lot of big hurts in my energy fields. And as the angels came in and I started to meditate and ask them for their help in healing, as I journaled, journaling was huge for me. I don't quite journal as much as I used to. But back then, as I was healing all of these things, piles of journals came out. I believe that that's the key to really opening up inside and really letting out what your feelings are and to heal them in ways that, nobody else can heal them for you. You need to do the hard work and to look inside and to really embrace the healing of the heart, because I think that is key to all of this.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow, that's quite a story. And I know I've read it in your chapter and we've talked about it before, but it makes me kind of sit back and think about all those pieces, as well, because at that time when you were pregnant with your daughter, yeah, it was a very different time, so there was that to contend with.
Exactly.
Your father's, if I can coin it as abuse, then that piece, all the pieces that were kind of coming this way, and for me, so, and my intuition is more visual and knowing than anything, but it's almost like the angels came in to kind of give you breathing space, more room to be you, to be exactly who you are, and you took the opportunity and you did it.
Yeah. I There were many times in my life when I felt depressed, especially, after the pregnancy, and even early in my marriage in my 20s, I had depression. And, as the angels came in, I realized I didn't have to choose that. Sometimes, a lot of times it is a choice to whether we get up and we're happy or we get up and we're going, oh, bummer. This is just, it's cold outside. I don't want to go out. I've got all this stuff to do today. Oh my gosh. Which way do you want to be? And it's interesting because my two grandmothers, the one on my father's side and the one on my mother's side, were very different and very much opposite in that that's how they lived their life. My dad's mother was very up, very loving, very nurturing. My mother's mother was kind of like always the complainer, and it was all about her and just negative.
Yeah.
And I, as a teenager, looked at them and I said, I prefer to be like my dad's mom. But do you know who I'm like more? My mom's mom is the one who really gifted me this gift. A couple weeks prior to her death, I had this dream where she took me to a shopping mall and we went into a Native American store. Have no idea why, but this old Native American woman was making tools specifically to the person. She made me a heart, a star, and a snowman. I don't know why the snowman, but I have loved snowman all my life. Anyway, they were my tools. And a few weeks later, my grandmother passed. And, nothing about this has she ever talked about while she was here on earth. However, every reading I have, Betty is right there. She wants the attention. She says, look at me, I'm right here. And she usually has a hat on. And, she's just like right there. And she, I believe, was absolutely probably a bigger influence than my other grandmother.
Really?
Even though I looked at how they chose to live their lives, it's just kind of interesting to me. Both of those experiences were something I needed to view and see and embrace about how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
As a child, I read the book Pollyanna. Are you familiar with that book?
Yes, but I'm familiar with the reference to the name Pollyanna.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I love that book. And I looked at myself as a Pollyanna. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to make those choices. And I feel like I've done pretty well with that. Even when I was depressed, I hid it most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of like shutting down that voice again. But I think I'm over that period. I have some depression every once in a while, or might get depressed about the situation in the world a little bit here and there. Don't we all? But
Of course.
I come back to how can I help it? How can I live my life with purpose and love? Because that's what I'm about. It's all about love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. I do. I love it. I love it. And for me, I think that that's something that we can all espouse, right? I mean, so we all deal with while it may not be a clinical depression that we feel, but we all get into that negative mindset sometimes.
Yep.
We all we start to feel sorry for ourselves, and once we do, the mindset grows and grows, and then we start to believe it.
Yes.
Well, we're not able, we're not worthy, we're not capable,
Yep.
we can't do that, we'll never get out of this hole. Goes on and on and on and on. So yeah, and that's something that's different now too. Now we're more aware of that process, and we have tools, that
Exactly.
we can use to shift out of there. Yeah.
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 I mean, I've got a huge toolbox, huge, huge. And, I've had different body aches and pains and stuff. And just 2 weeks ago, I felt like I pulled the biceps tendon in this arm as I went to bed. I mean, laying down, that's all I did. And I was like, okay, what are my tools? So I got up, I got patches put on it for the pain. And then I started to do energy work on it. I woke up the next morning, it was still a little sore, but it wasn't bad. And I patched with the other patches that I use and went about my day. It's been fine. That night I could not lift my arm up
Hmm.
in bed. And I'm good.
Yeah, you're
I am
good.
good. Yep.
That's
So,
incredible.
it's running the energy, it's doing the things that I know would help, and here I am.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in the past, I've let those things I kind of like, sometimes I've not been the best at self-care because I'm always caring about somebody else. What can I do? Where can I go? Rather than, okay, what can I do for me? What's going to help me fix this?
Mm-hmm.
And listening to those messages
Mm-hmm.
inside and the angels and asking for that guidance
Mm-hmm.
and love to happen.
Yeah, which, for my estimation, is self care.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, energy
Yeah.
management, right? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, love it,
101. Yep.
love it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about Wings Unfurled.
Okay. So I started back in the 90s. Once I started connecting with the angels, I started a business part time called Whispers Through the Light. And in 2011, my angels came in and they said, no more whispers, honey. It is wings unfurled. You are ready to fly. You need to go bigger. So from the beginning, I had a part-time business where I would do angel readings. And, there's a cute story where there was a shop that opened near here. And I went to the shop because I wanted to shop. Somebody said, "Oh, I think it might be a place you might like." That's all they said. I didn't know where it was. I knew it was called what it was called, and I ended up there on a Sunday. It was the weekend they opened. I started talking to the owner, and we became friends very quickly. And so while I'm in there shopping around, I hear somebody approach her because I didn't even know shops like that had readings. I didn't know. So the person approached her and said, "Are you going to have readings?" She says, "Yeah, I'm looking into that." And my angels are in back of me, pushing me to the counter saying, "Tell her you do angel readings." So I deep breath, I did, and she said, "Well, come back and do a reading for me." I shopped some more, I bought some stuff, I left, and I worked 5 minutes in corporate America from there. So the next day, I brought another friend up with me at lunchtime. And she said, "Did you bring your calendar to set up appointments?" And I went, "You told me I had to do a reading." She said, "And no, you're in. Just bring me a calendar and
She
we'll
had
set
already
up."
read you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So that's where I started reading, and I did it part time. At that point, I was actually working at a bar in a bowling alley, which was the worst, probably one of the worst jobs I ever had, and part time. And one Friday night, I sat at that bar and I wrote on a piece of paper, "I want to make my part time money doing angel readings and healings." And I didn't even know what and healings meant, but that's what I wrote. It got busy. I left the stuff on the table at the end of the night. I took that note and I threw it away in the trash. And the next day is when somebody told me about this shop. So, stuff like that has happened my entire life to help Wings Unfurled grow. And so I started doing readings at the shop, and I've been doing them ever since. Um, this past year, well, I'm going to back up a minute. So I do angel readings, which is the connection with the angels. You may have some questions. You may want to know who your angels are. There's a lot of different things. I am not a psychic, quote unquote, where I will, God bless you,
Excuse me. Thank
tell
you.
you when you're going to win the lottery or how much it is or, that kind of thing. But what my angels help you do is live your best life. There may be something that you just need to hear from somebody else. It may be something that you're thinking about and processing, and yet you're going, but I'm not sure. My angels will tell you, don't, listen to what's your gut telling you when you're
Yeah.
thinking that. If you're not sure, is there a reason that they're holding you back? Or is it something that you want to fly with? So that's what my readings help you do. If you want to shift relationships, whether they're personal, whether they're work relationships, um, I'm your girl. I can help you with that.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've learned Reiki. I do something called integrated energy therapy, which is IET, which really goes through different integration points and helps you move out things like guilt and replace it with innocence. things like sadness at the heart and replace it with divine love. Um, so I have a lot of tools. Like I said, I have lots of tools. I also do something called Seraphim Blueprint, and that is also an energy healing system. And I teach those classes. Um, so I do all of that and help people. What I've learned this past year is I'm trying to not narrow down, because I've kind of just been like out there. So what I'm trying to do, and I think I'm getting a handle on that, is to see where I can help people the most and to help them, if somebody's got relationships, like I'm working with somebody right now who has mother issues, son issues, work issues, that's where I excel. And as they start working with me, they start shifting energy very subtly sometimes, but they hear my words in their heads. They hear the angel's words, and they start to do things differently. That's what I love to see. That's what really jazzes me and makes my heart shine.
It's your
And
motivator.
so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that. I love honoring their journeys. Yeah.
And what's really cool about that for me is that everything they hear, and I know this from my own practice, everything they hear is a point of awareness, right? It's, oh, well, what am I going to do with that? So in it comes to the consciousness, and what am I going to do with it?
Exactly.
And to know that, and there's something really powerful, and I've certainly found this in my own life. There's something just very powerful about receiving messages from spirit. It's just something that, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I know, for me, it's incredibly powerful. Now, do I do everything that I'm guided to do? Maybe not, but it's, sovereign, in myself, so I have that choice. But I love that as you are reading people and getting information, then people have that opportunity to take it, run with it, think about how it really, okay, what's the truth of that for me, to really measure it within themselves, which is extremely empowering.
Yes, absolutely. When I was married, I was always taking college classes or craft class. I was always learning something. There was always a drive in me. And at one point, my husband looked at me and he said, "Can't you just be?" And I said, "No." I said, learning is something that I love. And when you stop learning, you're no longer here in my eyes. You're checked out. You're not doing anything. And it's not that, for a long time, I think I felt I needed to be the best sense of who I was. It's no longer that for me, because I love myself just as I am right now. So I don't have to be that better person, although for a long time I think I was there.
Sure.
So I see the worth that I bring. But for me, it's fun. It enables that toolbox to grow. It gives you more things to look at. And you're right. I've taken some classes, spiritual classes, that I do nothing with. Discernment was, all right, I did it. It was an energy attunement of some sort that I needed in my energy fields, but maybe I don't need to practice that every day. Maybe I don't need to pass that on to somebody. But just by tuning into my energy field, it's changed who I am. So that discernment is huge. Absolutely. Whether it's, something that you need to really work with or follow, or whether, yeah, that doesn't quite feel right for me. And that's fine. I mean, that's how we should. I always tell somebody, if somebody is telling you in a reading or working with you, you need to do X, Y, or Z, and if you don't do that, don't come see me. Run away very quickly, because nobody knows you like you do. And we are the only ones that can change who we are. I'm a perfect example of that. And, it sometimes I do it the hard way, but here I am. And, sometimes that processing is more painful than other times, but I keep at it. I keep doing it.
Yeah, and you're excuse me, you're healed more because of it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's this much or this much. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's being conscious of your steps and who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the two programs that you have running.
So right now, I'm doing, back in the fall, the angels told me that they really wanted to help our world. I do, if I may say so myself, amazing channeled meditations from the angels. I really don't ever know. I don't write anything out. I just sit down, I go into guidance, and we travel. And they're amazing. So they told me they really wanted to help the world heal and to help the world find some inspiration. So I started weekly Zoom call meditations called Angel Inspiration Circle, and it's four. I do 4 weeks at a time. A package is $97 for the 4 weeks. I record them. I send them to the attendees afterwards, and they're out on my YouTube channel. So yeah, so I love doing that. I absolutely love meditation with the angels. They're amazing. They bring us healing. They bring many different things to the mix. So that's one thing I'm doing. The other thing I'm doing, of course, is a package for 2 appointments a month. It's called Angel Play, and it's a monthly
Mm-hmm.
subscription package where I ask for a commitment of 10 months. If someone has some deeper things they want to work on, they want to get to know their angels a little bit more, if they want to know how to fix some relationship issues or how to not call in so many times. And believe me, I still do some of this. I'm sure you do too, Diana. Those limiting beliefs that we've been ingrained in our lives, in our
Sure.
lifetimes, still pop in for me. I can now shift them a whole lot quicker,
Mm-hmm.
but some people can't. And wait, I mean, 10 years ago, I would get lost in that limiting belief pattern for days, weeks, months,
Mm-hmm.
not so much anymore. I shift that pretty quick, but I can help people start to do those shifts. And the package, the monthly subscription package with 2 appointments a month, help people get to a deeper place in their knowing who they are and healing some of that old stuff. So,
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
And that gets back to your toolbox.
exactly. Yep, exactly.
Which is really what you're doing. You're helping clients create and build that toolbox for themselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I love it. I love it.
yeah, me
And
too.
and you have a you did another collaborative book that people can get and find you and read about you.
I did. It's called The Ancestors Within, and it says discover and connect with your ancient origins. And my chapter in chapter 10 in that book is about um, the angel mentors, and it's connecting through inspiration, healing, and love. And it's the story of how the angels came into my life. And this year, I I'm stating it here now for the world. I am going to do a book based on the angel mentors. And it's a book just about the angels. Archangel Michael has already given me some guidance and channeling that I need to put out there. And it's not going to be a big book, but a little book about the angels. And it's
Excellent.
also going to be the basis for a program that I'm going to create about how people meet their angel mentors, how they work with them, what they can help you with. Get to know your team. I've had people who have come to me who channel, who would say things like, yeah. And I said, well, who are you channeling? I don't know, the higher ups. That doesn't work for me. I want to know where that energy is coming from. I
Mm-hmm.
think we all should want to know exactly who that energy is.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it is benevolent. So, I'm very cautious about all of that. And I want people who want to delve into this world a little bit more to open up. So if somebody's new at it, this could be like a jumping off spot, or if somebody's been working with the angels for a while, they can get some more information. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my big plans for this year. Woohoo!
That's awesome.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. A solo
It's
book.
finding my
Love it.
voice, baby. It's
It's
finding my voice.
it
Woohoo!
is. It
Yeah.
is. And you know what, we can connect that back to the conversation because as you well know, finding your voice is not just speaking, it's expressing who we are. So once we know who that is, then life is much easier.
It's much easier.
Yeah.
Yes. And we don't have to do it alone. And there's
Yeah.
many helpful ways to be.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one
Absolutely.
little more story?
Yes, please.
So my base is I believe that I am at my core love. And I believe we all have that creator love inside of us. But I had a meditative experience where I went with Jesus on the side of a mountain and he had me in his arms. And I did not want to come back here. And he said to me, and this was probably in about 2012, you have to go back. You have to teach others about love and how to find the love that they are. So
Mm.
that's my one of my big purposes with Wings Unfurled is to bring that love into this world. I know we have a lot of things happening right now that take us away, maybe sometimes from feeling like we have love.
Yeah.
But I also heard Michael just yesterday say, the world has been through this so many times. Please trust and know that the love is always going to be there. You guys are never alone, and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll all be okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's kind of my purpose in what I do and how I bring the angels in.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Love it. You are raising the vibration of the planet, baby. That's
that's what I
it.
want.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Yep,
raising the
let's
roof.
do
Yep.
it.
I
Yep,
love it. I love it. Because it's true. When you are up, then other people are attracted to you. They become up, and so it goes, and so it goes. Right? I love it. I
at
love
those
it.
6 degrees of separation,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the angels told me one time because I wanted to be Doreen Virtue and see all these people, and they said, that's not who you are. It's one by one. Work on the one person, make a difference with one person,
Yeah.
and just keep doing that.
That's how
And
it
that's where
goes.
I'm at. Yep.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so I have one last question for you, Mary, and
Okay.
that is if you can share one thing about yourself, something funny or fun about you that you don't normally share.
Okay. Um, so something people don't really know about me is before I've been doing the angel work, I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. So all the time I worked in corporate, I had more than one job. My ex-husband and I had a mobile home park that we owned and ran. While I was doing that and working in corporate America as well, I was also doing a third job, which was painting. So I did decorative painting, and I have an ornament that was accepted for the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. for
Oh,
one of their Christmas trees. I belonged to what was called the National Society of Tall and Decorative Painters, and they were asked to do trees for a number of years. And one year I got brave enough, I went, okay, I'm going to do it. And it was an angel shape, but my angel was a teddy bear, and it got accepted into the Smithsonian. So I was just like, that's one of the things that not a lot of people know about me, and I love
yeah.
it. I don't really paint a whole lot anymore. I live in a smaller place, so I don't have a good area to just leave painting up, which when I paint, that's how I have to work.
Hmm.
But it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, goodness.
I'll
Goodness.
just show you this really quick. That is one of my
Wow.
painted treasures.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
And you did that just freehand.
well, yeah, with patterns. Um,
Right. Right.
somebody's pattern, but
Wow. It's
you know,
beautiful.
yeah, it's just on wood, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
yeah,
love it. I love
I
it. And I
love
can
it
see your
too.
collection of angels behind you too. That's very cool.
Exactly. Yes, they're all over the place.
Oh, that's so neat. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. I'm really honored that you were here today, and I really love, I love that people can make a connection to to spirit in whatever way they can or they choose to. And if that means that they start through someone like you, I think that that's beautiful. So what you do is a gift, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And listeners, thank you very much for being here. And just remember that every time you show up, whether it's to a podcast or wherever, and you're listening and you're taking it in, you are kicking your own ass. Thank you. See you later. If you like today's podcast, hit subscribe at the bottom on your way out, and come find me at cravemorelife.com for even more DIY ass kicking.